Iran appears in the Bible long before it was ever called Iran. Long before modern borders, before empires rose and fell, before history was even written the way we know it today, this land was already known, already named, already part of a much larger story. From the very first war recorded in Scripture to the prophetic visions that point toward the end of days, the people of this land are woven deeply into the biblical narrative. And yet, most people have never been shown this connection. What you are about to hear is not speculation, it is not theory, and it is not politics. It is Scripture. And Scripture does not forget. This journey is divided into 4 parts. In this first part, we go back to the beginning, to Noah, to the flood, to the moment humanity started over. We trace a single name hidden inside a genealogy, a name that leads directly to the land we now call Iran, a name that becomes a nation. That name is Elam. The waters had finally receded. For months, the earth had been covered, silent, submerged beneath judgment and chaos. But now, the storm had passed. The ark came to rest, and dry land appeared once again. Noah stepped out, along with his family, into a world that had been wiped clean. Imagine that moment. No cities, no nations, no civilizations. Just 8 people standing at the beginning of everything. And God gave them a command. Be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth. And they did. From those 8 individuals, every nation that exists today would eventually emerge. Every language, every culture, every people group. All of it traces back to this single moment in history. The Bible records this expansion in Genesis chapter 10, a passage often overlooked, but incredibly important. It is known as the Table of Nations, a genealogical map of humanity. From Noah's 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, the entire world begins to spread outward. Generation by generation, family by family, tribe by tribe, people moved across the earth, forming the earliest civilizations. And hidden within this list is a name that most people read past without a second thought. But that name changes everything. Among the sons of Shem, one name appears first: Elam. At first glance, it seems small, just another name in a long list. But in the ancient world, names were never just names. They became identities. They became territories. They became nations. Elam is not just a person. He becomes a people. And his descendants would establish one of the earliest and most powerful civilizations in the ancient Near East. Shem is a critical figure in biblical history. From his lineage would eventually come Abraham, and through Abraham, the nation of Israel. But before Israel ever existed, before Abraham was even born, Shem's descendants were already spreading across the world. And Elam, the firstborn, goes east, far east. While other groups settled around Mesopotamia, the descendants of Elam moved beyond it. They crossed rivers, they passed through valleys, and they entered a land shaped by mountains, a land that would define them. The region east of the Tigris River, dominated by the towering Zagros Mountains, became their home. This was not empty land. It was fertile, strategic, powerful, and it would become the foundation of a civilization that history would never forget. The Elamites were not a primitive tribe. They were builders. They developed one of the earliest writing systems ever discovered. They created art, architecture, and organized systems of government. Their society was structured, advanced, independent. They were not copying their neighbors. They were creating something entirely their own. Even their language was unique, unlike anything around them. This was a people with identity, strength, and permanence. The first war in the Bible. Then in Genesis chapter 14, something happens. The first war recorded in the Bible. This is not a small conflict. It is a regional war involving multiple kings, multiple nations, and a powerful alliance. At the center of that alliance is a king from Elam.
His name? Chedorlaomer. He is not a minor figure. He is the dominant force in the region. For 12 years, other kings had served under him. But in the 13th year, they rebelled. And in the 14th year, Chedorlaomer marched. This was not a defensive war. It was a campaign. Chedorlaomer and his allies swept through the region, defeating nation after nation, reasserting control. City after city fell. Power was restored. And this moment reveals something important. Elam was not on the sidelines of history. It was leading it. But then, the story takes a turn. Because one of the cities caught in this conflict is Sodom. And living near Sodom is a man named Abram, later known as Abraham. When Abram hears that his relative Lot has been taken captive, he does something unexpected. He gathers a small force, just 318 men, and goes after the armies of Elam. By every measure, this should not work. A small group against a dominant military alliance. But under the cover of night, Abram attacks, and against all odds, he wins. The captives are freed, the possessions are recovered, and the king of Elam is defeated. This moment is more than just a battle. It is symbolic. It is the first time in Scripture that the line of Abraham interacts directly with the descendants of Elam. The first contact between two futures, Israel and what would become Persia. Two lines set on a path that will cross again and again throughout biblical history.
Elam does not disappear after this. The name appears again and again throughout the Bible. In the prophets, in the warnings, in the visions of the future. It is remembered because it matters. From a single name in a genealogy to a powerful civilization, to the first war recorded in Scripture, the story of Elam is not a footnote. It is a beginning. And this is only the first chapter. Because in the next part, a new empire will rise from this same land. An empire that will change the course of history. An empire led by a king named in prophecy before he was even born. Cyrus. And when that moment comes, the world will never be the same.